Alright, everybody. So, we've talked a while now about how a certain type of content, a sort of parasitic grift genre, has really blown up on YouTube over the years, and that is the no bullshit clone channel. For those that don't remember, way back in the day, there was a now long-disgraced YouTuber named No Bullshit. You see, No Bullshit's entire thing was to, in one video, claim that he is a super hardcore, anti-woke, anti-SJW, badass kind of dude, you know? Like, he presented himself like he was this epic owner of the woke libs and everything, and that he isn't offended by anything, and it's the left that's trying to attack all the popular media and turn it woke and everything. But then on the other hand, he would also have massive meltdowns constantly about any piece of media that had minorities in it, okay? If there were gay people, women, of color, non-white people in any new piece of media, he'd put out a video complaining about it. And he oftentimes couldn't keep himself from complaining about the Jews as well. He has a tendency to go mask off, you know? That aside, No Bullshit would just upload non-stop drivel content about how everything is woke and everything's failing that is woke. He hasn't uploaded in 2 years now. We've covered his last couple videos he did, but haven't really looked at his stuff in a long time because he's a long since defunct channel. But No Bullshit was at one point a huge fucking channel. If we sort by his most popular, we can see that 6 years ago, like 6 to 4 years ago, in that span of time, this dude was on top of YouTube. Despite being one of the most obviously stupid, downright mentally deficient human beings I have ever seen on the internet. Debate after debate, this dude would just destroy his own credibility over and over and over again, but he just kept uploading. He just kept making this garbage trash content that people would make fun of him for. And eventually, we hit this wall a few years ago where this type of content stopped being as popular, and his channel went from looking like that to looking like this, despite having, at one point, 800,000 subs he's since dropped down quite a bit from. So, this dude is pretty much the shining example of this, like, anti-woke bullshit content and where it started. He failed because he just couldn't keep... He wasn't able to create a veneer of intelligence enough to keep people around. He wasn't very entertaining, he wasn't very charming, and people didn't like his content all that much, really, besides just hearing somebody repeat the stuff they already agreed with. The thing is, though, he inspired an entire new generation of content just like his, notably the Quartering, Geeks and Gamers, who else? The, what's he called? The other Jeremy guy that does the same. There's 3 Jeremys that do this type of content. The Quartering, Geeks and Gamers, and then the Critical Drinker. Obviously, that's also a type of content inspired by it, but kind of different. There's a lot of different YouTubers in this realm that have been inspired by that type of content. However, we're going to talk about one that kind of got big more recently. That's Yellow Flash 02. Now, I covered this guy a long time ago, back when I lived in Florida. He was originally known as the guy who freaked out because PlayStation put out a single tweet in which they said that the new Doom Eternal game would have female demons in it. He melted down over it and got really mad. He also got really big because he melted down over Miles Morales being Spider-Man. But he got really, really big out of nowhere because of shoutouts, like multiple days of shoutouts from Asmongold, who still regularly reacts to his content on stream. And for those that don't know, Asmongold has gotten really, really chuddy lately. Like, half of his videos are titled, like, woke anime translators mauled about getting harassment online or whatever. Anyway, this dude, pretty pathetic, pretty massive grifter. His whole thing is just being racist and then getting mad when people disagree with him. He has this, like, running thing where he calls lefties that, like, don't agree with his politics cancel pigs, and, like, makes an AI art of, like, I guess a woke-looking pig. So if you scroll down, You can find that it's sort of like an ongoing. Here's one of the cancel pigs. Here's one. They're all AI art, but I guess he represents the progressives as like AI art, gay, woke pigs. It's like a running thing he does with his videos. Yeah, very, very interesting stuff. It's very embarrassing, obviously. This guy's content is a joke, and I don't know how he sleeps at night knowing this is what the world is seeing of him every day, but we're gonna go ahead and check out his new video. Star Wars director admits Rey movie will be man-hating trash! Kathleen Kennedy will never be fired! That's the title. I mean, I'm just reading it how it's typed, guys. You know, see? That's exactly how it's typed. So anyway, let's check it out. There's something about these titles that just makes me feel like he's like screaming, like angrily, full of rage about each topic, which is pretty fitting because I do just imagine this guy being like a little neckbeard nerd rager. Let's check it out. Let's hear some nerd rage.
Okay, so here's what's going on. I've done a couple videos on this. It just keeps going.
That's what's going on.
But the director for the upcoming Rey movie, Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, has had a few things come to...
Oh, I forgot. This guy is ridiculously boring. Isn't it insane how low the bar is for just general entertainment when it comes to conservative content? Like, these guys will have their... You'll see a YouTube channel from Conservative Pundit, 400,000 subscribers. Click on the video. Annoying-ass loud intro, dude mumbling into his mic drunkenly in an unscripted, unedited 10-minute video that's just the minimum length it can be to get ad revenue for a daily upload, where it's just, like, no effort, no commentary, really, just the same repeating of, like, see, these woke people are bad over and over again. No, like, it's embarrassing. Like, there are times where I feel a bit of imposter syndrome, because compared to what other content creators on the left will sometimes upload, these like big high effort, high scripted video essays with like shit tons of hours and hours and hours put into each video, sometimes I feel a little bit of, you know, imposter syndrome that I am where I am despite making content that is comparatively lower effort to what other people at, you know, somewhat similar levels of popularity have achieved, right? But then I look at what conservatives achieve so easily in this space, and I remember, like, holy shit, even my worst content does not drop as low as the best content of these people. Even my most boring, thrown together, lazy content has more love and, like, thought put into it, and effort and care put into it, than what the average video I see from these mumbling, drunk, neckbeard losers.
Light, since she decided to come out and say a couple of things recently, how it's time for a woman to shape Star Wars, even though the very first one was shaped by a woman, George Lucas's ex-wife.
That's not the same thing. There's a difference between a character shaping a story and a human being in real life shaping a story. You absolute dumb fuck. Also, what is wrong with... I guess if you just think women are bad and you don't like the idea of a woman leading as the main character in Star Wars, I mean, argue why it's bad for a woman to lead as the main character in Star Wars. You can say it's woke, because that's like the buzzword that you've made that just means bad, but explain how it's bad, because we know woke means bad to you.
Did a lot of editing for that, but no, you know, now is the first time. She's the first one to really make things happen. A lot of people are...
A lot of these videos are just like a guy reading a line from one of these articles and then going on a rant where they supposedly quote what this person actually meant, and it's them doing like a whiny impression that's like nothing even close to what the quote they're upset about actually said. Which is, you know, pretty in line with these people, considering they think that South Park episode, Into the Panderverse, wasn't making fun of them. Like, I watched that special. The entire thing is a nightmare that Cartman is having in his own head. And at the end, he, like, buries the hatchet with Kathleen Kennedy, and they become friends. It's like actually beyond parody. These people thought that it wasn't making fun of them specifically.
Talking about her because she's said some pretty dumb things. So this puts Kathleen Kennedy in a bad spot. Could she address this? Could she come out?
This puts Disney in a really bad spot, you see. They've expressed woke politics, and they're really going to have to find a way to get out of saying that women should have a place in Star Wars and should shape the future of it. They're going to need to find a way to get out of this very bad spot they put themselves in here. To be fair, Disney isn't... sorry, I have to adjust my seating position. Disney isn't doing, like, fantastically at the moment, from what I've heard. Like, obviously, they're losing Mickey Mouse or whatever. And some of their movies they put out have done worse than expected. But the left doesn't like Disney. Like, besides maybe liking some of their media, I suppose. And to be clear, if you like a piece of media that these people believe is woke, they hate you. Like, back when, say, Steven Universe was on, these people fucking hated Steven Universe because of how progressive the messaging is, but it's very popular. So they basically dedicated a massive amount of time and energy to, like, creating a harassment campaign to any, like, pro Steven Universe content. Notably, there was that one anime YouTuber, ER, who did, like, the Gems Echo Signs video. And in that video, he does the whole, like, actually, at Charlottesville, Heather Heyer was not murdered by that neo-Nazi who ran her over. It was a heart attack, which is, like, a very well-known Nazi conspiracy theory. Yeah. These people don't like you if you enjoy a piece of media they think is woke, and they want that piece of media to stop existing. They're not okay with the idea of, oh, I don't like this piece of media. I don't agree with it politically. I just won't watch it. I just won't care about it. They want it to be canceled, which is ironic considering their anti-cancel culture. They want it to be canceled. Look at, say, their coverage of that Amazon show Rings of Power. Is it better than, like, The Lord of the Rings? No. It's got its problems, but I actually really like it, especially as a modern re-exploration of Middle-earth. You know, just seeing Middle-earth and modern HD again is nice. Alone, like, just that alone is a plus. So when you see people talk about it and they clearly want it to end and be canceled and not be allowed to exist anymore, it's like, okay, you don't see the show as just a thing you don't like and want to watch. You see it as a cultural statement you need to fight against, which is very different from, I don't like a piece of media, it's not for me. That's, I have a political disagreement with this piece of media, and I want to fight against it in a culture war because I see it as standing for ideas that I don't agree with.
And say, no, we actually love fans.
Rings of Power is really good, though. I liked it a lot, but even a lot of people who are not racist seem to dislike it. I've tried to listen to explanations for why it's bad, and every time it feels like it's from people who decided they were going to hate it before they ever watched it, that were, like, looking for reasons to hate it from every single angle possible. One of the things that a lot of people forget about with that show was how much misinfo was coming out before it even came out. And I didn't even, like, care about it until I watched it and actually enjoyed it more than I expected. I was really surprised at how much more I enjoyed it than I expected to, because I did not give a fuck about it before I watched it. Like, I decided I would watch it, like, on the release day. Like, I remember, like, hearing it was coming out on that day and being like, I got nothing to do tonight, fine, I'll watch the premiere, and being so pleasantly surprised. But what also stood out to me is how much misinfo was going out about it, and obviously Yellow Flash 02, this guy was one of the purveyors of that misinfo, because he was also, like, a big hater of Rings of Power. There was this Entertainment Weekly, like, promotion that released, where it's, like, the characters from the show standing in a black void, and, like, the camera pans past all of them, and people released that footage cropping the Entertainment Weekly thing out of it and said that that was the leaked intro for the show. And if that was the leaked intro for the show, the intro would look like a low-budget, like, drama, like a low-budget serial drama of some kind. It would be embarrassing if that was the show's actual intro. In reality, it was just a promotional video that's like 30 seconds long for Entertainment Weekly to post on their Twitter. And people clipped that out and posted it as if it was the actual intro. There was also misinformation going around that it would be full of nudity and constant sex like Game of Thrones because they wanted to Game of Thronesify it. So that was a constant talking point that was going around for years before the show came out to shit on it. So many people decided they hated that show before it ever touched their screens. It makes it really hard for me to hear people argue that it's objectively bad, and their reasons for it are like nothing points that in no way actually harm the piece of media. Zan, I respect your love for Tolkien, but have you considered that he said that Gollum, my favorite character, is in hell, and I was really excited to play that new Gollum game because it's Gollum, but unfortunately it sucks. Yeah, that Gollum game does absolutely suck, and I don't know how you could pull off a Gollum game and not make it suck. Like, obviously the game was just poorly made, but also the concept was bad from the get-go. Regardless, though, yeah, these grifters basically thrive off of creating hate bandwagons for a piece of media and monetizing it and milking that hate as much as they can.
No, instead she goes and connects her
That's what
and
he's
has
doing with
her
this movie
connections
already.
in the
We're
news
seeing it
media.
repeat.
Attack fans. This is a standard tactic. It's pretty well known that she has a lot of connections. At least Lucasfilm has a lot of connections to these people in the media, and they will come out and they will happily attack fans who criticize the people that work for them.
Okay, so basically, these guys will go on Twitter and accuse, like, any of these movies or directors of being, like, pieces of woke shit or whatever. And then whenever any form of media covers the harassment campaigns against the actors or the directors or, like, Kathleen Kennedy, they say the media is attacking fans and calling them racist. So that's their go-to, like, they're attacking fans, and, like, the thing they're talking about is, like, a death threat campaign against one of the actors, you know? They did the same thing with The Last of Us 2. If you remember, the actress who mocaps and voices Abby in The Last of Us 2, to this day receives death threats because of what her character does in that game. And literally because she played a character, she gets death threats. And the studio spoke out about it and, you know, denounced the harassment she's getting and called it out. And Yellow Flash, The Quartering, these grifter types said they're attacking the fans for having a problem with the game, when what they called out was the sending of death threats to one of their actors. So any form of calling out of the toxicity of this group is seen as attacking the fans, is what they'll call it. Because they want to make anyone who's, like, watching their videos feel like they're on their side and that they're against these people who are attacking them for being real fans of the media they watch.
Here's another one. There was one yesterday. Here's one straight up, like, because that one yesterday wasn't really too hard on fans. This one is. So from Forbes, upcoming Star Wars film attacked as woke. Attacked. They're attacking a film by.
Wait, okay, hold on. So does the left not attack things whenever they try to cancel stuff? So, like, he denies that there's even an attack on this piece of media happening online. Because when the right does canceling, it's not canceling, but when the left even criticizes someone, it's an attempt to cancel you. Like, the amount of hypocrisy is astronomical. I just realized we're a minute in. I've spent 18 minutes on this video, and yeah, I should probably stop pausing so much.
Right-wing critics over director's feminist comments. I mean, probably because people are sick of feminist Star Wars, which I have no doubt this is going to be. We'll come back to this.
Yes. We're not right-wing. We're just Star Wars fans, and we're sick of Star Wars being feminist. We're sick of these females in our Star Wars. Why do you think we're right-wing?
This Cope article in a minute. I want to show you some stuff. So I wonder why people are pointing out that this is just more of the same bullshit from Lucasfilm that people are sick of. It might be these pictures that came to light after
the fucking End Wokeness account. Remember, guys, these. I love how the average anti-woke conservative YouTuber, like, their citations are, here's a tweet from a viral anti-left-wing, like, anti-SJW account on Twitter. Look, it got 11K likes. That's all the, like, that means it's right. That means everything they're saying is like, validated. Dude, the era of conservative content we are in is crazy. Look at this tweet. This is my source.
this comment from her where she said that she's going to be the first woman ever to shape Star Wars. And then we find out she did some stuff with the World Economic Forum, buddies with old Hillary Clinton, and this picture right here. So yeah, people are a little like, WTF? Like, what? Why are we doing this again? No one is going to go see this movie. I guarantee you that Rey movie is going to be.
Guys, Star Wars is like one of the biggest franchises ever. You guys can keep saying that the new Star Wars sequel movies failed, but they were astronomical box office successes. So one of the things these people do now is they claim that when a movie they say did go woke doesn't go broke, they say that Disney pumped the numbers in the box office. When you ask for evidence, they say, well, that's just what Disney would do. And it couldn't have possibly actually done well in the box office, you know? A Star Wars movie couldn't have, you know, been one of the biggest grossing movies of the entire year. Yeah, The Force Awakens is like the 5th highest grossing movie ever. Yeah, that is true. And all of those sequel movies are up there in like the top 10 or 15. Yeah, I think the only one that's underperformed is Solo as far as movies go. And even the shows, the ones that haven't been as good, have been pretty like well-performing too. I'd say the best piece of Star Wars media that's been put out in the like recent times is probably Andor. I liked Andor a lot, which is like, it didn't feel like other Star Wars content. Like, it's very different. It's a very different feeling, and you get to see a side of the Star Wars universe you don't really see a lot of, and it's interesting. It's very unique as far as Star Wars content goes. They did something different, and I really like that. And people seem to also really like it. So Andor popped the fuck off as far as success goes and like how many people watched it. Yeah, Andor is kind of like the Breaking Bad of the Star Wars universe, is the way I've heard it described. It's a bit of a crime drama in the Star Wars universe, which is pretty cool. But yeah, a lot of chuds hated it because it has relatively progressive messaging in it. But it did extremely well. And once again, the thing these people claim is woke trash that won't do well, did well. And these people's copium is, well, Disney must have just inflated the numbers. It's like, okay, sure. They inflated the numbers, and it actually didn't do well.
Absolute dog shit. And we have yet another video that has emerged. So this video is her at Women in the World, some kind of women.
Oh, that's actually funny that this guy brought it up because someone donated. Larry Banks donated a second ago referencing this. Larry Banks, the 78 with the $5 donation, is actually referencing this argument. Also, if Yellow Flash brings up clips of the Star Wars director saying, quote, I like making men feel uncomfortable, unquote, what she is referring to is her documentaries that show the negatives of patriarchal Islamic control of women. So for those who don't know, the director is actually an ex-journalist who has done, apparently, documentaries about how radical Islam, or, you know, like hyper-traditionalist Islam, is super misogynist and anti-woman. Something I don't even think that Yellow Flash would disagree with, but I guess right-wingers clipped it and claimed she likes making men uncomfortable when she's referencing to hyper-misogynistic, like, Islamist men who want women to be objects and, like, property for... Well, to be fair, actually, conservatives don't really disagree with, like, Islamists, like hyper-radical Islam and their perspectives around gay people and women all that much, to be honest. They really don't have much disagreement, to be fair. The director said that, quote, it's time for women to shape a story where it's the first time a woman like her would have creative control over a Star Wars movie, not just be a director of a show for a few episodes. I see what you mean, Larry Banks 78. Yeah, but the problem is that, like, most of the people who watch this content unironically do believe women are bad. Like, having women in this media is bad. I do think a fair amount of it is this, like, training to look for it, right? Like, a lot of these people will make excuses for old pieces of media that they like and how woke it is, right? So if you argue with one of these guys and try to say Alien is woke, the main character is a strong female woman who beats up the alien at the end in a mech suit, right? Like, people would argue Alien is pretty woke, the entire Alien franchise. is pretty woke. Like, Ripley is a character that if you made her today would be absolutely called woke. Sarah Connor would absolutely be called woke today. Princess Leia would absolutely be called woke today, especially, God, dude, I was sick with COVID, all right? So this is actually a really relevant thing because it's Star Wars related. Recently, I was sick with COVID. It was right after I moved. My house is empty. I'm just sitting in my chair, absolutely fucked up from COVID. And I feel like such garbage. I want to sort of like watch something and get immersed in something very nostalgic and comforting. So I boot up Disney Plus and I bring up the original trilogy of Star Wars, A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and The Return of the Jedi. The original trilogy, some of the most nostalgic media I can really think of. I throw those babies on, and oh my God, watching A New Hope, I could not believe the scene in like that hallway where they blast the grate to get down into the garbage chute. That scene could not pass today with these people. The scene where, like, Princess Leia is nonstop talking down to Luke and Han as if they're incompetent, takes the gun from them, shoots the grate, and gets them down. The fact that throughout the entire movie, Princess Leia is outsmarting them and talking down to them about how they're dumb men. Like she's constantly making feminist-sounding comments that would not fucking fly today. The way she talks to Han and Luke, especially when she first meets them, would never fucking fly with these guys today. These woke spotters would lose their shit. But these movies are classics. They're Lando being in the movies, they would freak out about it because the movies were all white before. They would lose their shit about Lando being in Empire Strikes Back because the first movie is pretty heavily just white people. Yeah. But these are classic movies, and there wasn't this like fear of the agenda back then. So they'll make excuses for it. But what's interesting is these people, these content creators, have like Pavlov's dog ingrained a response in their audience to look at any piece of media they watch and to search for anything that can be seen as woke. When I was a kid, and when these people were kids, they saw that scene and it never bothered them. Chances are. I never noticed that scene or felt offended by that scene, or like it never stood out to me as anything weird. But now, as a progressive political pundit of sorts who has to argue against these people, he doesn't even agree with these people, that line stood out to me rewatching it as an adult. And I thought, that could never fly today. Because a lot of this audience has been taught to look for this shit in modern media when they were completely willing to look past it in old media. And their justification is, the message didn't exist back then. The agenda didn't exist back then. It's like, progressives have always existed. Democrats have always existed. The like gay rights movement has existed for decades upon decades upon decades. Like, there's no... Like, this whole woke thing didn't start in 2014. If you want to say there's this, like, woke takeover, then it goes back way further than 2014. And it's been, like, the generally popular thing since the 80s has been to be more politically correct. Especially in Hollywood. Bro did not stop pausing. I know. Listen, I'm so bad. I'm so sorry that I transform the content I cover. I'm a bad streamer. I'm bad at streaming. I'm supposed to just let the video play, get up, take a piss, make a snack, take a nap, watch a movie, and then come back and say, okay, what'd I miss? And then upload that on YouTube as a full segment. I'm not a good streamer. I get it. I actually provide content.
Hollywood entertainment thing, I don't know. You got Jon Stewart as the host, and he starts asking the woman who's going to shape Star Wars' future, at least that's what she says, how she deals with patriarchy in art. And you tell me. She says she loves making men uncomfortable, and she wants you to contemplate and be uncomfortable watching her movies, which I'm sure is going to make everybody absolutely excited for the Rey movie.
So, yeah, as that commenter messaged earlier in their donation, she's referencing her documentaries about Islamic extremism and how women are treated in it. She's not referencing Star Wars. She's referencing documentary movies here. So just blatant dishonesty from the clip chimpers on Twitter.
Listen to this bullshit.
What is the balance of activating a force for change, but also trying to permeate that patriarchy, that power structure? And is that a part of the calculation of your art as well? And what's been the reaction to that?
Oh, absolutely. I like to make men uncomfortable. I enjoy making men uncomfortable. Not you, just not you. Not you.
Point taken, point taken.
Not you. Not you,
But,
Don.
you know,
We already know.
Because she's not saying she likes making all men uncomfortable. She's referencing the fact that she makes movies about hyper-religious fanatics that believe women should be property, and those men get uncomfortable from her documentaries. Yeah. It says from Matt Walsh below the vid, where, oh, yeah. I'm sure... Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Oh, you're a
it's
bitch.
important to be able to look into the eyes of a man and say, I am here, and recognize that. And recognize that I
How
am
about I
working...
recognize if you actually have talent making movies? The only movies she's made are documentaries about feminism or something. I have to go look.
About feminism or something. They're about how radical Islam mistreats women. Something that presumably at least 2016 conservatives agreed with. Nowadays conservatives, like the Andrew Tate sphere and the like believers that were in the Matrix or whatever, they're like embracing radical Islam as like the new red pill thing. But back in 2016, the whole idea was actually we're super pro-gay and pro-woman, and that's why we're Islamophobic, was like the chud thing in 2016. That was like the take to have.
Through the, she's basically a woke documentary maker. You know what? I'd rather recognize someone that has talent making a Star Wars movie, somebody qualified to make a Star Wars movie. And there are plenty of...
What? You just said you haven't seen any of her media. You don't know if she's qualified or not. Why would you make that statement? I haven't made the statement she's qualified to make the movie. I haven't even made the statement the movie is going to be good or I think it'll be good, because I haven't seen it yet. There's not even a trailer for it yet. We haven't seen anything about it yet. You politically disagree with the person who's playing a large part in making it, and you've decided it's going to be bad like years before we even get a trailer for it.
Female directors out there that could do that. This person is not one of them. She doesn't have the resume to do something like this. It was the same with Nia DaCosta for the Marvels. Inexperienced director. Look what happened with that movie. That movie is a piece of shit.
I have not seen The Marvels. I have a feeling it's probably going to be one of those movies that I watch and I'm like, wow, this is better than I expected it to be. That was the case for The Eternals in particular. I didn't watch The Eternals when it came out, and I watched it like maybe 6 months ago for the first time. I was like, huh, not really the most memorable Marvel movie, but this is like actually pretty good. Like, there's some insane fucking like imagery in this too. This is one of the prettiest Marvel movies I've seen. Like, they turned up the saturation for once and made it all colorful and pretty. The like way the characters' powers look is super cool and unique. The action scenes were dope. The like set pieces were awesome. Like, I was actually really surprised at how interesting and unique that particular movie is. But yeah, I imagine I'll watch it and I'll be like, huh, better than I expected. But I don't know if it did super well. Like, did it, like, bomb at the box office or something? I heard that it, like, underperformed, but to be fair, I heard that from people like this, and they just outright lie about that shit, so it might have just done fine. So it did fail. The Marvels failed because there was too much executive oversight upon what could and couldn't be done for the movie. I know it was in kind of development hell from what I heard, but yeah, I don't... Like, the problem is that these people believe that their political side is valid as long as the most amount of people agree with them. Notice how their arguments all fundamentally lead to, if you make your movies woke, people won't like them because the majority of people don't like wokeness, and that is what makes wokeness bad. That is what makes wokeness bullshit. That is like the argument they make. The problem is they're fundamentally wrong about wokeness being unpopular. They constantly say with every new piece of media they say is going to be woke, it's going to fail. And then whenever it does financially perform poorly, because they say everything will financially perform poorly if it's woke, they never let it go. And oftentimes they'll just lie about something for performing poorly, right? Like, for example, Rings of Power. Based on how much hate that show got online, you would think that show performed pretty badly, right? You would think that show didn't do all that well. But if you actually look at the ratings and the viewership, it did really fucking well. And the majority of people who watched it and didn't hate bomb it rated it pretty highly. It got massively review bombed, but when you look at the reviews that are like just a long paragraph from someone who's clearly a Tolkien fan who explained it, like usually it's around 3 to 4.5 stars. That's usually where it sits at with most people, and they give like a long explanation of like, I don't really agree with these changes they made, but I see why they had to do it. I think they worked really well with what they did. I like the music a lot. Okay. My favorite thing is watching these chuds try to find any reason to shit on a piece of media and seeing them actively lie about hating something they definitely don't. A lot of these people shit-talked the music in Rings of Power. The music was done by Bear McCreary. The guy who did the music for the new God of War games, the guy who does the music for The Walking Dead, the guy behind the Walking Dead theme song, and is itself fucking phenomenal. Also, like, Rings of Power won like 6 Emmys too, or nominated for 6 Emmys. But yeah, like, the music was top tier, and I've seen people complain and say the music was forgettable and bad, and it's like, dog, the music was objectively amazing. That's like the one thing no one can argue is bad. Like, it was nailed, the music was. And when I hear people complain about that, it's like, okay, you're just shit-talking because you want to shit-talk now. I know you didn't not like that, like, award-winning dude's music. Yeah, no shot. No fucking shot. So many conservatives hated on God of War 4 and 5 because Kratos actually had more character development. That's true, but also, like, a lot of these people didn't jump on the hate bandwagon too because they recognize how much of a losing battle it would be. And they praise the music in God of War 4 and 5, but then they shit-talk the music in Rings of Power because they clearly don't know who made the music in Rings of Power.
For movies for movies like Star Wars that have massive budgets, you really do need people that know what the hell they're doing, number one. You really do. And these have been very expensive virtue signals for a lot of these.
Are the Star Wars movies not profitable? Is Disney not making profit off of Star Wars? Am I living in a different world than this guy right now? These have been expensive virtue signals, these movies have been. I'm sorry, I thought they were like huge fucking money makers. They made billions, exactly. Dude, I go into any store and one of the first things you see is something Star Wars related. You go into an aisle where it's cloth canvas bags, and the first thing you see is like a row of Star Wars related ones. Disney is raking in billions off of Star Wars just from Baby Yoda merch, okay? The idea that these have been woke virtue signals that have cost Disney money is amazingly disconnected. But to be real, these people rely on this false bravado, this idea that actually we're winning the culture war and Disney is slowly dying and losing money because they're woke, but it's just not happening. Yeah, they don't believe in numbers.
Outlets. Like, I'm not saying a woman can't direct Star Wars, but get someone in there that knows what the hell they're doing. And I'd like to have somebody that doesn't like making men uncomfortable, especially when it's a man-driven franchise. I'm sorry. The majority of people, well, at least that did like Star Wars, when it was making money, were men. I'm not saying...
Okay. All right. We've gotten to the core of it. We've gotten to his actual thesis. We're not going to play the rest of it where he says, I'm not saying, because he is saying. So, Star Wars is a franchise made by men for men, is the core of his argument. And that's what his audience believes. That's what he's just said. And these feminist women coming in to change it, to make it woke, is unacceptable in their view. The hilarious thing is that Star Wars has always been woke. Like, do you know what the messaging was supposed to be with like the Ewoks? I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be like symbolizing like a native group beating the fuck out of an advanced empire despite all odds satisfyingly, plus they're cute little bears on top of that. So like you feel extra bad for them being oppressed by the Empire when they arrive. Like, yeah. Also, they were inspired by the Viet Cong. Yeah, they're like the cuddly Viet Cong. Exactly. The Viet Cong, but cuddly. True. So, like, is it woke then? But no, because that's old politics, I guess, and it's only woke if it's modern politics? I don't know. Zan, the fact that Yellow Flash I had a video about that Japan hates woke things when Miyazaki is a feminist and Sailor Moon is very feminist. Yellow Flash is lying through his teeth. Well, he's a massive liar. He's a massive, angry liar. We all know. I'm just curious about how his viewers hear this and don't get put off by it. I mean, his fans comment on my content from time to time whenever I cover him, and they leave very nasty comments that make it clear they didn't watch more than 5 seconds of the video, so I don't think they have much interest in hearing an opposition, but I don't know. Maybe some of his fans will see this video and realize how much of a loser he is, but I highly doubt it. These people are just looking to hear their already very well-established opinions shoveled back into their mouths like horse shit.